Guys are the best when it comes to political professional wrestling. I'd step in the ring any day with these guys, but of course I'd win.
Yes, and of course she is a dancing queen, like our president, which these guys have been pointing out too.
I don't know if I'd say that to her face.
Well, she's probably like a queen. She's treated like a queen, I'm sure. I bet she dances around in the ring. We are the American Adversaries. Folks, and thank you for joining us on your computer or listening device, because the Rays are playing in terrestrial radio. I'm Larry Adams here with our host, Christopher Hart. We have Mike McBath in here, the man himself. We also have Lucas Paris over here, who's on the Periscope.
Hey.
Showing everything.
Actually, the Periscope is on him.
I am the Periscope.
Close to his head, folks. There's a little blood.
He is the Periscope.
I thought he was an angel. Oh, that's the Periscope?
Well, somebody needs to ring a bell, because I could really use those wings.
No, I did not think he was an angel.
There we go.
He's got a light on his head.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, is anything sprouting over here now?
The coloring, I'm not sure like an angel.
That's right. Welcome back to the show. Did you say Nick's on the bridge? Did you tell him
No,
that?
we don't want to talk about Nick, because he's strange.
Yeah, he's got his own show.
His own show. He's
talking about him.
Disney World kind of guy.
You know?
That's right. Hey, real quickly, a little bit more football news. Ray Rice, the judge, I guess, dropped the charges against Ray Rice today. Has he still got a career in the NFL?
You know, again, now the one thing about Ray Rice, you know, now he's an older player. I think he's like 28, which sounds just not very old, but relative to the running backs, he's an older player. You know, it just depends. Will somebody take the risk? I think somebody desperate will. I don't think he's going to sign before the season. I think what happens is you go into your camps, you see how your running backs perform. If you have an injury and a spot opens, okay, Ray, here's the deal. This is what we expect. This is how you're going to act. Because I just think at this point in the stage, you're not going to embrace them until there's an emergency, just because you're carrying baggage and you're going to get.
You want to explain to our audience a little bit about the baggage he's carrying now?
Oh, yeah.
Well, of course, Ray Rice was the one who...
Soliciting.
No.
Oh, this one that beat up his wife?
Yeah.
His girlfriend, whatever she
clocked
is.
her in the elevator.
I saw it, too. It was a overhand right.
But that's not his fault.
Yeah, well,
Whose fault is it?
she wouldn't, you know, she just wouldn't
She didn't press charges or anything.
So the judge dismissed him, and now I believe he's now eligible. But once again, it'll be up to the teams.
Right.
You know, if somebody wants to take a shot with him, and I think you're right. I do think some team will.
I think somebody in desperation at some point will, but you're going to get flack from your left media because, you know, he's a woman beater-upper.
Do you think he might have a career in another league, like the Canadian Football League, or maybe even arena football?
Problem is no money. No money. I wouldn't even. I would never do it.
Yeah.
There's no money. It's like zero.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Ray Rice. Anything else big cooking at the NFL meetings that you know about?
Nothing. You know, I'm always, like I mentioned earlier, hoping that they'll make some major announcement for the former older players, like a $50,000 bonus this year.
and
it never happened. So,
you said 100.
Yes, I know, but you know, we're in a deflationary period, so I don't know.
How many former players are there?
Actually, vested players. There are fellas that played, you know, when I played, you had to play 5 or more years. I'm a vested player. Now, the vested players are the ones that are very fortunate because you get the pension, you get all the health benefits, you get everything. The ones I feel bad for are the poor guy. He plays 3 years in the NFL, gets nothing. Then he goes up to Canada, plays 4 years in Canada, gets nothing. Then he plays 2 years in arena ball, gets nothing, and all he ends up is a bunch of major injuries that will follow him the rest of his life with no form of way to pay for them. And so the answer is vested players. I estimate there's probably, I would say probably 7,000. You know, that's vested.
Right.
And non-vested, you know, there's probably about 15,000, 16,000. And realistically, over the past, you know, you would have a situation if when I was playing, they would actually cut you. If they knew you were going into your 5th year, they didn't want to see you go into the 5th year because they'd have the cost of funding the pension and all the other aspects that's tied into you.
Right.
So when you go into that 5th year, you better be in good shape, get prepared. And I always said, somebody said, Mike, what was your greatest play? I said, when I got into my 5th year, whatever happened that play was my happiest. Because I got the pension. I got everything.
there.
So I don't even remember what happened. All I can remember is Happy New Year's.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Something else I wanted to ask you about football, too, before we move on.
I'm going to say the listeners ought to consider running down to the arena game this weekend. I mean,
How was it? You were there last week,
I was there last week, and
It was an overtime win?
I'm a big fan of it. Last week was probably the epitome of what you would visualize how the game should go. It went to overtime, and the Storm, which is our arch enemy, the Tampa Storm, which we played in front of 25,000 people back when we had the team.
Right.
How about that? 25,000. Here we are. The game goes overtime. Storm scores, but in the rules, Storm gets the ball first, then we get the ball second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we come down, we score. Now they're ahead, like by 1 point, because we got to decide. If we kick the field goal, the extra point, then the next person to score wins the game. But what the Predators did, they go, well, we're losing by 1. Let's just go for it. So they go for 2 points,
and they got
it. Game over. But what's interesting now that I think they played 8 games this year, 4 of the 8 games went to the last play. But that's arena
And what's the
football.
record between the two?
And I think they're right now 4-4.
4-4,
Wow.
which is actually they're leading their conference.
Right, their conferences, they got the right wins at the right point.
Right, exactly.
But the other thing is the fact that the ones they lost was by a point or so. I mean, it's actually a pretty good team. I love watching this coach. This guy is a wild man.
Yeah.
But he's great. He's absolutely great. The enthusiasm.
He seems to get a lot out of the players.
Yeah. And I think he's going to have a great opportunity to possibly win the league. But, I mean, again, to go down there and the fans go nuts, I think this weekend is going to be a lot of fun because there's a lot of people looking for something to do. The tickets are relatively inexpensive.
I wonder if they'll have a kind of a Memorial Day, leaning towards.
I'm sure they'll do something.
I bet you, without a doubt, because they actually are very traditional in the sense that they honor soldiers, which they should.
The first game, they gave out like 3,000 tickets to veterans.
Not like the NFL, who takes money from, remember that a week ago? Oh, boy, that's an ugly picture. I can't. If I was the NFL, you ought to hand the money back. But no, actually, it goes back to the government. Hand it back to the individual soldiers. Don't hand it back to the government.
Yeah, give it to some.
I mean, can you imagine the bozos in the government that actually paid money to get somebody to honor our soldiers? Those people, I'm sure, if approached properly, would have loved to do it for free. But we have such a bunch of meatheads in the departments. Oh, terrible.
Well, a lot of them, from what I understand, they said, well, we have the money to spend, we should spend it. And never even think about maybe they'll donate.
Well, let's see if we can drive the debt deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
Nice.
One last football question. Brady and the footballs, the deflated footballs, the commissioner is the one hearing his appeal, and evidently that's because of the collective bargaining agreement. How did that happen?
But that was, I call, somewhat of a mistake. The commissioner... there's appeal on our part. Our part is we want it taken to a neutral party.
Exactly.
If you'll just go to the neutral party, then we'll all be happy. We'll live by the decision.
Right.
You do it the way you're doing it, then I think this thing will drag on because that is the issue.
You think Kraft might end up fighting him in court?
I don't think Kraft will. Remember, Kraft accepted the loss of the 2 draft choices, the first round. I think it was the 4th or 5th round. Yeah. And then he accepted the $1 million. And so the answer is it's going to be Brady is a player, always backed by the Player Association, and I think that issue could continue on if it's not done in a neutral setting.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. Let's go back to politics while we still have a few minutes left in the show here. We reported on the show recently that the president, while this deal with Iran is going on, another little-known deal was going on with the Chinese. And basically what he's done is he's extended and enhanced an agreement that we already had with the Chinese, which will now allow them to have our latest nuclear technology to build reactors with, which will produce plutonium, which has but one use, basically as far as the military goes, and that's to make bombs with it. And then also we're giving them reactor cooling technology that they will be able to use on their naval ships to make them more efficient operators on the oceans and under the ocean, their submarines. This, not only is he jeopardizing us in the Middle East, but now you remember his pivot to Asia? Now we know what his pivot to Asia is all about.
Yeah.
Make them stronger too, and make us weaker in the process.
I can't think of enough words to insult the guy with for something like that. Honestly, I don't have a vocabulary big enough to shower him with what he deserves. I mean, to jeopardize the American people. There was a fellow, Michael Chang, who is somewhat considered an Asian expert that was, I think, was on Fox News. He's been on others. And he was commenting the other day that right now, China is right at the verge of having first strike capability against the United States.
That's what the goal is.
Right.
Their general
and
has
the
said
fact
that.
that this guy would do this to the American people, and as he pointed out, you know, our missiles can't knock these missiles out. Come on, they can knock maybe a few out, but the reality is all you need is a few to get through, and hell has appeared. And to have such a
And with a president that won't respond.
Oh yeah, no, he'll surrender. I mean, I believe that without a doubt.
Yeah.
And it's a case that how could you even envision that type of transfer of technology to a country who is building their offense for who? Us!
Do you start to think maybe this guy has an agenda? An anti-American agenda?
Do you think we've been given enough hints?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Thank God for talk radio, because, I mean, the average American sits home and has no realization what's taking place.
Okay!
Yeah.
Well, you're right about that. And speaking of talk radio, it is still the most listened radio format of all radio formats in this country. Country music comes a close second.
Right.
But news talk radio is the most listened to radio format, and people still go to the radio in larger numbers than anywhere else for their first take of the news.
But you do, because, you know, most of us work, and when you're working and you're in the time, you just turn on your radio station, like myself. Everybody's busy, but thank God there's people like yourselves out there who are constantly educating the people to let them know, like this China situation.
Yeah.
How could you support a bozo like that, Obama, doing this to us? Are you crazy? What are you doing?
And then to turn around and support the loser, Hillary, to follow him up. Can you imagine that?
No, she'll sell us down the drain for money. He'll give the technology away. What a winning combination.
And either way, we're in a whole lot of trouble.
Oh,
all right, but we got a whole lot more to talk about. We got one more segment. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Memorial Day and some other things as well. And if you still want to join us, you can at 407-774-8255. Don't forget, you are listening to the American Adversaries. Monday is Memorial Day, and we will be taking Memorial Day off.
We're taking a break, and we hope you do the same, but also please remember our service people that have passed on, that have given their lives for this country. That's what Memorial Day is all about. You have a flag, fly it.